The idea behind Sojourn is to give people who join us a transformative experience. People from the civil rights movement defined what the morals and values of this country should be.
And I didn't even call it the March on Washington when I was a kid. What did I learn? This was called what? The I Have a Dream.
Young people, like in high school and college, don't know these lessons. So the idea is to take the real people involved in the movement, what I call the players, the icons, the elders, and have young people study their stories and then challenge young people, what are they going to do when they go home to make difference, to make social change in their own homes, lives, schools, and communities.
Sojourn is very, very effective in inspiring a new generation of leaders, a new generation of young people to find a way to make a contribution. I've seen more than 5,000 of these young people, and when I travel around America at colleges and universities, even abroad, some of the young people are working at American embassies and other places.
Lesson number one is the March on Washington, where 250,000 people came to Washington, D.C.
A multitude of Negroes and whites moved on Washington today in what is easily the most massive demonstration ever seen in the Capitol or in the nation. There were no ranks, but they were orderly. They moved with dignity, but there was no sternness. Their placards demanded the uprooting of every vestige of discrimination and said it must be done now, but they showed no anger.
When we do our lesson on the March on Washington, we stay in hotels that have conference rooms. Conference room is converted to a moving classroom. That's what we call what we do. We have a moving classroom. So what we've done is we've analyzed the whole I Have a Dream speech, studied who were the speakers at the March on Washington, so students have context for how important this was. Dr. King gave arguably the greatest speech in American history on August 28, 1963.
I have a dream.
Opening night, we go to Stone Mountain. Stone Mountain is the birthplace of the Ku Klux Klan in the 1920s. It is also the Confederate Mount Rushmore. Carved into the mountain at Stone Mountain, Jefferson Davis, President of the Confederacy, slave owner. So we open our program here at Stone Mountain studying the I Have a Dream speech to give voice to people and to say hope was alive in the 1960s, and what are young people going to do with those lessons today?
I have a dream that one day
we ask students to give their testimonial of how are they feeling in the spot we are in.
We still need to be one despite our differences, despite who we are and race or anything else that keeps us apart from each other, that we need to stand together.
Hearing it all echo off of Stone Mountain, it's kind of like he's yelling at these figures of the past that, represent hate and, racism, and he's saying no more.
To hear Martin Luther King deliver his message and to hear it here in Stone Mountain, it's just so mesmerizing. It gives me hope, it gives me confidence, so that when I go back to my school and I see injustice, I'm able to combat it and I'm able to speak out.
After we're done with our lesson and students head back to the bus, we always say, whoever needs to stay in this spot, we're not going to rush you out. Because along these 10-day journeys, students are going to be affected in one of the places we visit or by one of the speakers. Somewhere along the line, their lives are going to be affected, and that will be their moment, and we want them to have their own transformation wherever it occurs.
One thing that shocked me the most was how much hatred the white people had towards the people of color. It was really intense. I never knew it was that bad in the South.
One of the things I learned on the trip is to have a lot of self-respect and pride in yourself, because you need to believe in yourself and keep your dream going in order to treat people right.
What's the first line you wrote in your notes today? All men are created equal.
The mission of Sojourn is to not only honor civil rights icons, but to pass the legacy of the icons to the next generation.